Radio check. Hello everyone. Today we are doing something a little bit different. We've come across some news recently in the flight sim world that Aerosoft is potentially releasing an update for the CRJ series. This was hinted in a video from, I believe it was, his name is Your Sim CFI. Seems like Aerosoft decided to finally come back to this aircraft and do a couple of touches, and we might have an update in the future. I don't know. This Aerosoft hasn't seen an update in a couple of years. They were very focused on their A330 and their Airbus series. They pretty much just abandoned this project, which kind of stinks because this was the first study level add-on that I had bought for this simulator, and you know, it was a lot of money, and it's study level, which is cool, but you would expect it to, you know, be kept up with throughout the years of the simulator, and it has not been. And some of the functions are a little bit glitchy now, and there's some functions that just straight up don't work anymore. But who knows? We don't know what's included in this update. There has nothing has been released officially by Aerosoft as to what they are going to do with this aircraft, but in hopes of good things, we're going to hop back in it. We're going to try and get ourselves recurrent and refamiliarize ourselves, if I could speak, with this aircraft, and hopefully in the event that an update does occur, we're ready to go. Alright, so today we're going to be doing a flight from Chicago O'Hare to Buffalo International, and then Buffalo International to JFK. And the Chicago to Buffalo route is flown by Envoy, which I am almost certain, I may be wrong, but I think they only fly the ERJ series, which I don't have, but that's okay. I could be wrong, and we're flying the CRJ anyway, so that's fine. We are flying with an Envoy call sign. We are on VATSIM today. It is Envoy 3580, and we did get a pre-departure clearance from the VATSIM controllers. Chicago is quite staffed right now. I don't know how long that's going to remain true for, as they have been on for 4 hours, all of them. They may be signing off soon, but maybe we can catch them on time, if I could speak. Alright, so let's go ahead, and for time's sake, let's go ahead and get in this cockpit that we haven't seen in a while, and let's get our flows going. Alright, so we're going to provide power to the aircraft. The battery switch is coming on. Cool. Alright, so the gear is down. Thrust levers are in the shutoff position. Speed brakes are up. Flaps are up. Everything's good there. Parking brake is set. And nothing too bad there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get the APU on by going to our overhead panel. We're going to open the APU SOV door, which shows up on the CAS, which is good. And now our APU is ready to start. And now we get a start indication, so we know the APU is going to run. And we can see it spooling up with our APU gauges right down here. And we will wait for that to provide us power. Alright. The aircraft does have power. Alright, sweet. APU is 100%. EGT is in the green, so everything looks good there. Alright, let's go ahead and start our flows. Alright, so the first things first is we're going to get some panel lights going here, so we can actually see everything we're looking at. We're going to do so on the other side. Integration lights are coming up. Let's get rid of the... Let's try and get this yoke down a little bit. There we go. Integration on this side. And integration on the lower pedestal as well. There we go. Alright. once again, trying to get recurrent and refamiliarize ourselves with this aircraft. Alright. Cool. So, we have the battery master on. Our APU is running, so we don't need any external power. We're good there. All of these AC power lights are extinguished. That's fine. All of our generators are in auto. We're going to hit the fire detection test, and we're going to be looking for a message to pop up on our CAS screen. And for the lights on the dash to show up as well, which it does. And we'll let it go. Cool. Those work good. Fire detection is good. Hydraulic SOVs are extinguished, and it looks like there's guards on them, and they are guarded. That's at least what it looks like to me, so that's good. We'll go ahead and get the nav and the logo lights on for now, and then we'll call that for lights. Fuel pumps can stay off for now. The fuel cross-flow override can also remain off for now. The bleed air is normal. That's good. We have our ISOL valve. The ISOL valve is automatic right now, as far as I understand the way the CRJ works. I don't know for sure. I'm not a CRJ pilot, but it looks like that's how we're doing there. And I do believe the ISOL valve automatically opens when it is needed for like engine starts and stuff like that, is really what I was trying to say. Didn't have the words for that, but that's what it is. So we have the bleed valves on auto. The bleed source is on both engines right now. That's good. That's what we want. APU is good. All of our engine start and ignition switches are extinguished for now, which is good. We'll go ahead and take a peek at the hydraulics here. We'll go ahead and turn on the main hydraulic source, which is 3A right here, or 2A, whatever that is. It's 3A. And we do get hydraulic pressure from 3A, which is good. And we will leave the other hydraulic switches off for now until before pushback. Oh, hydraulic pressure, that's what was coming up. We'll get rid of the master caution and warning lights going on right now. Put these armrests up so we can see. Alright, going back to the overhead panel here. So, weird thing with the CRJs, we do have to set the elevation for the departure and the arrival. So, 680 is the field elevation at Chicago. So, we'll throw our MFD back into the stat screen like so, and we'll set the landing elevation to 680. Apparently, if you don't do this in the sim, you get pressurization issues throughout the flight. And we'll zoom in and verify that's 680, which it is. Cool. Landing elevation is set. This is guarded here. Manual rate we don't need right now. Air conditioning we will go ahead and turn on. The recirc fan can also come on. Aft cargo, all that stuff. Oh, the temperature controls for the cargo is all good. These switches are extinguished, and we're in the middle here. That's fine. And same thing over here. That's good. Anti-ice we'll leave off for now. That's good. Just, it's been a little while since I've flown this plane, so I'm trying to remember exactly what everything is. But we're doing alright so far. We're doing alright. Cool. So, yep, anti-ice is good. We'll go ahead and throw some windshield heat on, and that'll be on the low position. And the probes can stay off for now. That's good. Dome light is on so we can see inside. It is nighttime. Everything else is off. That's good. The overhead lights are all lit up so we can see. Sweet. Landing lights and recognition lights are off. That's good for now. The ELT is in the arm position, which is good. Seatbelt signs, excuse me. No smoking signs are on. Seatbelt signs are on, and the emergency lights will be armed. Alright, let's go to the pedestal over here. We're looking at a cruise altitude today of 37,000 feet. However, we did get a PDC, which tells us to maintain 5,000. So since we do have a clearance limit for this flight, we're going to set our altitude bug on the autopilot to 5,000. And before I forget, I believe I have the IRSs on realistic. Oh no, they're instant. Okay, that's fine. I'll try and remember to change that in the future. Alright. So, What is the weather doing at Chicago? Let's go ahead and pick up Chicago ATIS. 5.4 Tango. Alright, so they are taking off and landing towards the east. So that's in the direction we're trying to go, which is good. The altimeter is 29083. We'll set that in a second. Let's just, we don't know what runway we're expecting quite yet. It is not in our PDC, so we won't set a runway heading yet, but we have our altitude, which is good. Speed bug. That'll, we'll set that in the air. It'll automatically snap on whatever airspeed we're going, so we'll make sure that when we're pitching on our climb out, that we're good to go and we're at an airspeed we want to be at. Okay. So as far as the altitude, everything else for now is A-okay. Everything looks good across the board from left to right. Let's go ahead and get some floodlights here so we can kind of see the switches a little better. Crew oxygen, we'll give it a quick test. That looks good to me. Alright. Running through our checklist, we tested the oxygen, the audio warning panel. Let's go ahead and throw that in there. Let's test the stick shakers. That's good. And that's guarded again. And we'll do the GPWS.
Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. In up. Sink rate. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up. Don't sink. Don't sink. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Gear. Too low. Flaps. Too low. Terrain. Glide slope. Bank angle. Bank angle.
Minimums 1,000, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Too low. Terrain. Caution. Terrain. Caution. Terrain. 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 Pull up. Caution. Obstacle. Caution. Obstacle. 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 Pull up.
Alright, so I forgot that the CRJ has quite the long list of alerts that come out with the GPWS. Much more than that of the 737, so we'll keep that in mind for next time, as that is a lot of alerts. Alright, so the electrical power panel, we'll go ahead and throw that on here and double check it, make sure everything is good. We have no engine power because, well, we have APU power, so that's good, but no engine power because the engines aren't running. So let's go hit electric again, and we get to the battery page. Everything is in the green. We have power just where we want it. That's good. Fire detection was tested. That's good. External lights are checked. That's good. Fuel panel, let's double check that. We're looking at a block fuel of, if I remember correctly, 7290. And we only burned about 35 pounds, so that's good right there. Everything's low pressure right now, but that's because we don't have engines running. Bleed air panel. Alright, let's see what we got there. Ooh, I am not going to lie to you. I forgot where to check that. Bleed air should be somewhere over here. Hydraulic, electric fuel. ECS right here. Oh, I think we have the bleed air going right here. I do believe, yeah, okay, so the pack systems are bleed air. Everything's in the green. We're looking good there. Okay. That looks normal for being on the ground. APU panel is good to go. We've already checked that when we started it. The start panel is just fine. Hydraulic panel, we checked when we turned on the 3A. ELT is armed. Cabin pressure. Let's hit this again and see if it takes us to a different page. It does not. So let's go back to the stat Cabin pressure, we're looking good. Everything's in the green. While we're on the ground, we're good there. Cool. Air conditioning, we're fine. Anti-ice, we are good to go. We'll verify on the screen right here. Cool. We could flip those on and test if we wanted to, because we will need de-ice right down the road. Yep, in the green. Those are the probes. I'm looking for the engine. There we go. Yep, everything's in the green, so that works just fine. Windshield heat is on low. Emergency lights are armed. Standby compass. Looking good. 06 or 050 roughly. That's about where we're at. That's good. Nose wheel steering is off. Clocks we're good on. Instrument panels are checked. We're fine there. Upper pedestal we will check after this to verify. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead with the middle part of the pedestal here. We have the anti-skid. We'll turn it off and make sure we get a CAS message, which we do. So we'll turn that back on, and they disappear.
User bay overheat.
So we got the bay overheat and the alert. Cool. We'll throw on the lamp test and watch all the lights light up like a Christmas tree. Excellent. All right. And these right here, these lights are extinguished and guarded. Cool. All right, so we'll go to position init. Our reference airport is Kilo, Oscar, Romeo, Delta. And we will go to next page, pull our GNSS 1, previous page, and we'll set that here. And we have a position, which is good, and our origin is KORD once again. We're going to Buffalo, Niagara, which is Kilo, Bravo, Uniform, Foxtrot. Excellent. Flight number today, we are Envoy 3580. Cool. Throw that down here. And the nice thing about the CRJ is when you go to your stat page, you can remind yourself because it shows up in the top right corner over here, so that's good. We'll go to the perf init page. We have 70 passengers on board today, and we'll look at the OFP. Our cargo, we have 3,500 pounds of cargo on board. Throw that in there. Our fuel is 7290 because that was our block fuel, which is just fine. Cruise altitude is flight level 370. Cool. We have no alternate cruise, so we're good there. We'll go to the next page. Climb. All this information is good right there. And the reserves, we're actually going to throw in 2260. Reserve fuel right there. That's good. Next page. Everything's fine. We'll go to the VNAV setup. This first page looks fine right there. Next page, we're going to do 320 knots / Mach 0.77. And we'll go to the next page. Do 0.77 / 300, and this gives us better ETA times is when the FMC is calculating where you are on the flight. So that's good. Go back to perf init, and we have everything in there. All right, so we'll go to flight plan. We are doing the O'Hare 6 departure. We don't have a runway yet, so we're going to go back to our flight plan, go to the next page, and we'll just start putting in the waypoints because the O'Hare 6 is simply just vectors to your first waypoint. So we're going to Duffy. It's our first, and then it's Direct Echo Lima X-Ray, VOR. Cool. And from there we're going to Hack, which is Hotel Alpha Alpha, Kilo Kilo. Then Doxy, Delta, Oscar, X-Ray, X-Ray, Yankee. And then Sosic, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra, India, Charlie. And then from Sosic, we're going to whatever. Whiskey, Tango, Echo, Victor, Romeo. And then direct Dobie, Delta, Oscar, Bravo, India, Echo. And then from there, the Dunkirk VOR, which is Delta, Kilo, Kilo. Alright, and then from there, we will vector ourselves onto an ILS, some kind of approach, as there is no ATC online in the Buffalo area still. So yeah, after Dunkirk, we'll load the approach before descent and check the winds and see which runway we will be using. So let's execute that flight plan, and then we're just going to go format here, go to the plan page. There we go. And we're just going to run through the waypoints and verify that everything looks exactly how it should. Oh, legs page. Oh, there we go. Interesting. Used to be able to just scroll through the pages on the legs page and the flight plan screen would go with it. Something did move, but this is where you would verify that the flight plan looks exactly how you want it, but that doesn't seem to be happening right now. Okay, that's fine. We'll just roll with it. Alright, departure and arrival, we have our flight plan, we have our performance information, our VNAV is set, and everything looks good on the FMC. So we will start going down to the lower pedestal here. Our ATC code, we do have a code, and that is squawk 3571. So 71 and 35. Cool. So we're squawking 3571, which does not appear interesting. Doesn't appear that my radio panel automatically twists this, so that's interesting. Alright, that's fine. So we got 3571 in the squawk box, that's good. All of the weather radar information is good. We'll throw this to ATC1, that puts our squawk code to mode C. We'll throw this on standby mode. We'll go ahead and turn our stab trims on and clear that. Engage it, cool. Normal displays and avionics are in the normal position, that's where we want it. Yaw damper, we'll go ahead and hit that button and verify that the yaw damper CAS has disappeared, which it has, good. This is all of our dings and stuff like that, cool. Alright, so this aircraft is just about ready to go. The last thing we're going to do is go to our performance page and we're going to set our altimeter and our V-speeds. So, to set the V-speeds, this little knob right here, so we're going to set our VT, which is 193. And then we'll go flip this bigger knob over to the V-speeds, the refs right here. And it starts with V1, which is 131. 131, and then hit the select button to go to VR, which is 131 as well. And V2, so we'll hit select again. V2 is 142. So we can hit select again to put it back to V1, and we'll throw this back in speed just in case. And we're going to verify that the altimeter is the same as before, the 2982. It is 2982, and it's information uniform. Alright. So, we want that down. 2982. And we're going to have to set that on both sides. So let's zoom in here to see if we can see it. And in our standby attitude indicator as well. There we go, 2982. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and get this set up for pushback. So, going to the checklist here. We'll go to before start. Passenger signs are on. Landing elevation is set. The altimeters are set. The FMS is checked and set. IRSs are aligned and in nav mode. Radios and nav aids, we are going to be on Chicago Tower, which is 120.75. Alright, we have 120.75 in our active frequency. That's good. And takeoff briefing, well, we don't have a runway yet, so that's fine. Cleared to start. Alright, the devices are off. We're just going to leave those on for now because we need our checklists. APU is on, electrics are checked. We're good there. Takeoff data is set. Doors are closed and locked. Alright, let's go ahead and request ATC to remove this jet bridge since we don't have anything besides the in-game ATC panel to do so. And the jetway is getting disconnected. Let's go ahead and close the passenger door. We're going to remove the chocks. The beacon is coming on.
All passengers are aboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the captain and crew, welcome aboard this flight.
Alright, doors are closed and locked. Beacon is on. Fuel pumps are coming on. The hydraulics are all going to come on, starting with 3A, and then the rest on auto. Cool. And lastly, the parking brake, and then we'll go to the after start checklist. Alright, cool. So we are ready to start. Fuel pumps are on. Let's go ahead and shift P it, since we don't have anything else to help us take care of this. And I just want to verify something here because okay, yeah, I did turn it. Cool. Oh, and parking brake is coming off, so we can push back. So that wasn't a speed run per se, but it was good enough. Departure frequency, we'll put that on standby. It is 119.0, so this goes a little bit quicker for us. Cool. And once again, I'm in pushback and my frequency auto shifted on us. So tower is 120 point what again? 75. Okay. So
November 51741 flag
it's not just a PMDG thing. It is a weird sim thing.
Flying present heading and just leveling off at 7,741.
Cool. All right. So now that that's over with, we're gonna go ahead and hit the right engine start button. We're gonna look behind us and verify that we're not hitting anything. Well, there was that fuel truck, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and shift P it so we can stop the pushback. Good. Good enough for me. Set the parking brake while the engines are starting. N2 is rising. And 20% N2, we'll go ahead and advance the throttle forward to introduce fuel. Alright. N2's rising, N1 is rising, we're looking good. ITT is rising and in the green, everything's looking normal. Oil temp and oil pressure are rising. And we're in the green now for oil pressure, that's good.
Ladies and gentlemen,
6 Hotel Foxtrot is midway, midfield, right down. Runway 10 right.
November 766 Hotel Foxtrot, runway 10 right, clear for the option.
There's the option 10 right, 6 Hotel Foxtrot.
Alright, engine number 2 is a good and stable start. Love to see it, so let's go ahead and get engine number 2 going. And you see the packs automatically turn off as the air goes to start the engine, which is good. N2 is rising, let's watch that.
which is executed by placing your head between your knees with your hands over your head. We would also like to remind you that you should turn off all electronic devices.
Alright, 20% N2, advancing the throttles forward. You know, I really like the flight attendant, announcements when you're pushing back this plane and everything. It baffles me that they took all the time to do that extra stuff, and then all of a sudden they just said, yep, this plane's good, we don't have to do anything else. It's just amazing to me. But now we're finally getting an update, which is good. And, well, rumored anyway. We'll have to see what actually happens, but it's exciting, trying to get familiar with this aircraft again, and we will see how it performs. Alright, we have 2 good and stable engine starts. Everything is in the green. Let's get ourselves
Solid 6
prepared.
Hotel Foxtrot's going to make that one a full stop. We're at Whiskey.
Taxi.
Okay. 6 Hotel Fox. FedEx ramp, taxi via Whiskey Sierra.
Interesting.
Whiskey
Alright, so
Sierra,
the
thanks for your
generators are all on
cooperation.
auto. That's
Have a
good.
night. 6 Hotel
Electrics,
Foxtrot.
we are going to check one more time and verify that we are getting engine power, which we are. Engine generators are working good. That's excellent. The bleed valves are all on auto, which is good. The packs are on. The APU, we will actually go ahead and turn off now. And we will close the SOV door. And verify on our stat page that that door is closed, which it is. We no longer have the SOV open. Cast, the anti-ice, let's see, what are we at temperature-wise here? Standing air temperature, we are below freezing, so let's go ahead and throw the cowl anti-ice on. And since we are doing the anti-ice, let's do continuous ignition as well. And the nose wheel steering is going to be armed. And for taxi, we're going to do a flaps 8 departure. So 2 notches down. Alright. Flight controls, we'll check. Flight control page right here. We got right aileron down, left up, or right aileron up and left down, and then left aileron up and right down. Elevator forward, elevator back, elevator full right, or rudder full right, and rudder full left. Alright, flight controls are free and correct. Cool. Flight controls are checked. Our trims, we'll go ahead and verify that. Our trim for takeoff is 7.5, and that's exactly where it is. Cool. And lastly, flight instruments are checked. We're good. Brake temps are checked. They're all 0 in the green. We're good to go. Alright, and CAS messages are checked. We are solid, and we can actually go ahead and taxi. Alright, CRJ so far is performing A-OK. I'm going to grab my iPad real quick. As that is very helpful to have all of the procedures. And get our scratch pad going. Alright, cool. O'Hare Tower, good evening. Envoy 3580 is at Gate Hotel 3 with uniform requesting taxi to the active.
Envoy 3580, runway, thanks for uniform, runway 9er right. Taxi via Alpha, Tango Tango Golf, Romeo. 9er right at Romeo, taxi via Alpha, Tango Tango Golf, Romeo, cross for left.
Runway 9er right, taxi via Alpha, Tango Tango, Golf, Romeo, cross 4 left, and that was 9er right at Romeo for Envoy 3580, correct?
Affirmative.
Roger, thank you. Alright, so we have a intersection departure planned for us right now. Oops, I did not mean to get rid of that. So he wants us to go Alpha, Tango, Tango. Alpha to Tango, Tango. Okay, I see. So we're going to go towards the south, and we're going to make a left turn on Alpha. So let's get the nose light and the recognition lights on, parking brake off, and we'll get the dome light off so we can see outside just a little bit better. And we are going to make that right turn out of here towards the south. Alright, so since now we are expecting a runway, let's go ahead and go to our departure page, and we are runway 9 right, and we'll execute that. Go back to our leg page and just make sure that doesn't screw with anything, which it does not. We're good to go there. Ground speed 14. Our heading we'll set to 090, runway heading for now. And alpha is going to be this first turn to the left. So heading bug is 090, which is good. And we're making the left turn on alpha. So now that we're on alpha, we're going to take alpha all the way to Tango Tango. So this is going to do kind of a weird wrap around to the north. And Tango Tango is going to be kind of close to 9 right. Sweet. And our speed is starting to run away from us just a little bit. Let's go ahead and slow down. We're at 18 knots. 18 knots is fine. We are on alpha. And we're going to look out. Alpha is going to make a curve to the right side, and then Tango Tango is going to be a left turn, and then Tango Tango to Golf. Oh yeah, this CRJ is wanting to cruise right now. Oh yeah, engine's at like 40%. That would probably be why. Cool. Alright, so here is that curve to the right that alpha is going to do before Tango Tango. Nice thing is I do have the Chicago O'Hare scenery. It's scenery from back in like 2020, 2021. This is a pretty early release. So some of this stuff is actually already out of date. They did a lot of construction on the field since. So this is going to be really interesting. We are crossing over a bridge right now, which is really cool. Oh, and it looks like that bridge was Tango Tango. Maybe? I don't know. Oh, I see. Okay. So that's saying Golf 3. So Golf 3 is now Golf 2, and this Golf 2 that we're turning on is actually Tango Tango. So that's fine. So we'll follow Tango Tango to Golf. You know, having out-of-date Navigraph data is one thing, but having out-of-date scenery is really, really interesting. So you really have to be on your toes when you're dealing with that. So Golf is going to be this left turn right here. Alright, now we have a little bit of a trip down Golf before we finally get to 9 right at the Romeo intersection. So we'll go ahead and throw a little bit of engine power in there to pick the speed up. We'll go ahead and turn the flight directors on since we are in taxi, and it seems like the one turns on both sides, which is good. I'm okay with that. Alright, so we're passing by the terminal on our left side, so there's going to be what I believe is a closed taxiway to our right side. So Alpha Rops all the way back around to the left here. Interesting. So it's Alpha 1. So this must be that closed taxiway that I'm seeing on the airport diagram here.
Tower November 51741, be established on ILS 29 Center.
Okay.
November 51741.
We were cleared to cross 4 left, so landing lights are coming on, and strobes are also coming on.
9 Center 741.
Verify clear on both sides, which we are. Cool. And then we're going to cross 4 left, and we should only have 2. It's going to be the second right turn. 9er right at Romeo. And hopefully that's correct. Okay, so this first one is Golf 1 going to our right side, which is good. That's what the airport diagram is indicating on my end. And that next taxiway up there is in fact Romeo. So that's not Romeo right there. This is Romeo up here to the right. Okay, cool. So now we're on the O'Hare 8. Top altitude is 5,000. And we're short of the runway. Oh, landing lights and strobes are still on. I forgot to shut those off. Let's go ahead and not cross the hold short line. Our takeoff configuration is okay, but we're going to verify. Lights and strobes are on. Fuel cross-flow. Oop. It's going to go manual. My camera wanted to go wild on me right there. Alright, flight attendants are advised. Transponder TCAS is set and we're good there. Radar and terrain display I don't think this airplane has, so whatever. And CAS is checked. Alright, we are ready for...
3580, fly runway heading runway 9 right at Romeo, clear for takeoff.
Runway heading, runway 9 right at Romeo, clear for takeoff, Envoy 3580. Alright, so we're runway heading and we were cleared for takeoff. Let's go. So oddly enough, it looks like 9er right has been extended since the release of the scenery, because this is the runway end right here. Huh. Weird. Alright. So engines are 40%. They are stable. We can go ahead and set toga. And here we go. The CRJ is going to become afloat. Stay on that center line. Try and center the camera here so we're not looking weird and everywhere. This aircraft does have a habit of trying to go off the runway. It's not the smoothest takeoff in the world. Its response to wind is crazy. Alright, so we got V1 rotate. Let's go ahead and slowly pick that nose up. Ooh, that was an aggressive pickup. And V2. Alright.
Air Canada 244, mic check.
Alright, positive rate, gear up. We're going to go 15 degrees nose up. We're going to do speed mode, heading mode, And let's go ahead and engage
Envoy
the autopilot.
350, Envoy 3508, contact Chicago departure 119.0.
119.0, Envoy 3580, good night. Okay. Alright, cool. Chicago departure, good evening, Envoy 3580, 2,600, climbing 5,000. And we'll start getting those
Envoy
flaps
3580, Chicago departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 15,000, clear direct Duffy.
Direct to Duffy, climb and maintain 15,000, Envoy 3580. Alright, so we're climbing up to 15,000 and we're cleared direct Duffy, so let's get that altitude set there. We'll get our speed bug up to 250 since our flaps are now retracted. Let's throw our throttle back to climb power so it will maintain that speed. Cool. And we'll throw Duffy in the top here, and we are direct Duffy. Excellent. And throw nav mode in the autopilot. And so far we are looking good. Alright. Very dark out here. Alright, we are going in the clouds. Good, good. Our engine anti-ice is on. We'll go ahead and throw some wing heat on for now. I'm not sure. The 737 doesn't usually need a lot of wing de-icing as the friction from moving through air can actually melt ice on itself. CRJs, I'm not entirely sure if they are the same or not, so we'll just roll with what we got. We're slowly getting up to 250 knots there. And we're following the departure procedure. Okay. One thing I've noticed with the CRJ, it's kind of been an issue since had this plane. It was after a certain update, but it hasn't been updated since. This plane is always a little bit like off the line.
Flight 25041,
so it kind of scares me,
clear direct toil, toil at
making me think it's not following the course I want it to follow. But we watch it closely and we'll go from there.
Cleared RNAV, Zulu 13 center approach, Frontier Flight 2504.
But it does look like it is following the course. The heading did adjust for it, so I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and right-click and then left and then right-click. Right-click and then left-click so we can get our heading sync. That still does work for this aircraft, where if you have a button within a knob, you can right-click it and then left-click it to hit that knob. That works really good still. Alright, that is 10,000 feet, so we'll go ahead and get the landing lights off. Cool. And then we will increase our climb speed to 290, which is typical for the CRJ. And we are out of the clouds for good. I can see nothing but clear skies.
3580, contact Chicago Center 134.87, good day.
134.87, Envoy 3580, good night.
Good night.
Yep, 134.875. All right. Cool. Chicago Center, good evening, Envoy 3580, 11,500, climbing 15,000, direct Duffy.
Envoy 3580, Chicago Center, welcome, say airspeed.
We're going 290 for airspeed, Envoy 3580.
Envoy 3580, Roger, you have violated the airspeed restriction on the O'Hare 8 departure. Next time, please don't do that. For now, you may resume normal speed and climb to flight level 370.
Alright, normal speed and flight level 370, and I am sorry I missed that note, Envoy 3580. There it is. Alright, so it's 250 knots until advised by ATC. I completely missed that. This is why you look at the entire departure procedure before you execute it. So we'll go ahead and go back to speed mode here. We're climbing up to flight level 370. Huh, that is something, okay. Come on. Let's go ahead to speed mode. Alright, I'm going to disconnect the autopilot for now and pitch the aircraft up. I'm not sure why it's not wanting to maintain 290. Let's go ahead and recycle the...
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now serving sandwiches.
Okay, climb 309, but I want to climb at 290. Oh, brother. Alright, something is not correct with this autopilot. So I went to change the altitude to 370 after we crossed, or after we got our clearance to... Sorry, I'm trying to speak and figure out what's going on at the same time here. So, our speed was 290, and it was doing fine until I got a further, and now the autopilot is doing something really strange. Alright. So we're going to hand fly from here real quick, and then try and see what exactly is going on. This is very weird. Alright, so we're going to go ahead to standard pressure, and we'll worry about our MFD and all that later. Not exactly sure what it is this autopilot is doing. It's not following what it should follow. Our IRSs are in nav mode, so that's good.
Envoy 3580 Cleveland is closed. Radar service terminated. Frequency change approved. Bye-bye.
Alright, frequency change approved. Envoy 3580. See ya. Alright, so we'll go to en route 122.8. And I am currently hand flying this aircraft right now. And we are going to figure out just exactly what is going on. Alright, so we have a little bit of wind coming from the right side, and it is a tailwind, so let's turn into that. To try and fly our course. This aircraft is insanely broken, I think. Alright, so it shows us direct to the Elks waypoint, so let's throw that up there. Let's execute. Throw nav, autopilot engage, and speed mode. Let's see what it does. Okay. So now it's doing what I want it to do. Okay. Except for following the speed. I could not even possibly tell you what is going on here. Alright. Okay, so the aircraft is now climbing again. Forgot to turn the probe heats on, so maybe that was the problem this entire time. Oh boy. Well, as far as the speed mode, it was abnormal for the aircraft to try and turn left when we crossed over Duffy. It should have been a slight right turn to go direct to this next waypoint. Okay, yeah, so the probe heats were definitely the problem when it came to the speed mode. I want to watch this aircraft cross over the Echo Lima X-ray VOR and see if it turns the way I'm expecting it to. Completely violated a speed restriction too. That's unfortunate. Paying too much attention to trying to fly this plane again. That's why they always say you should be familiar with your plane before you hop on the network, but I guess that just went right over my head. So, yeah, note, all turbojet departures in all directions maintain 250 knots until advised by ATC. So, it's no longer 10,000 feet and you can go faster than 250. You have to wait until ATC tells you, hey, you're cleared to resume normal speed. So that makes sense. All right. Nice. All right. I mean, it's both easy and hard to miss at the same time. It's like kind of mixed in with all of the other, you know, fixed information and whatnot, but I mean, it's not so hidden that I definitely shouldn't have missed that, but that's A-okay. At least the center controller was nice about it. He forgave us, and we love forgiving controllers. Especially because us pilots, something wrong with us. Right. 31,000 feet, we're climbing at 290, about 800 feet per minute. It's looking like, top of climb is going to be very slow. Why don't we you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to reduce our climb speed a little bit. Why don't we climb at Mach 0.75? That should give us a decent climb rate so we can get to 37,000 a little bit quicker. That way we can get to cruise and then just relax for a minute, as this has been kind of a disaster overall. Alright, our right side altimeter still does need to be set to standard. There we go. That's good. Alright, so now we're getting a better climb rate. The standing air temperature is negative 59 degrees. Total air temperature negative 13. We're not in any visible moisture, and it's very, very cold outside. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the engine cowling anti-ice off. Oops. And ignition continuous can go off as well. We forgot to run our climb checklist with all of that crazy stuff that was going on. So we'll go ahead and put our cross flow back to auto. Bleeds and APU are all set. We're good there. Thrust reversers, I never turn those on. That's... How did I miss that? Oh, it's right here in the taxi checklist. I skipped from trims to flight instruments, man. Hop in a plane that you haven't flown in a minute, and yeah, it can be very disastrous. This is exactly why proficiency is very key in aviation. Even if you've spent hours and hours and hours inside of a certain type of aircraft, if you stop flying that aircraft for a while and you just try and jump right back into it, it's gonna be disastrous no matter what. Some people might be able to ride it like an old bicycle better than others, but no one, in my opinion, will ever just be able to get back in a plane they haven't flown in 5 to 10 years and, you know, be able to fly it, even if they have thousands of hours in that aircraft. I don't have that many hours in the sim or anything. It's been a long time since I've flown the CRJ, but I used to fly it rather exclusively when it first came out for the sim, and it was about the only thing I flew for the longest time. And then you don't fly it because it doesn't update and everything's broken, and then you forget how to fly it, and then you bust speed restrictions, and you know, start having trouble with the autopilot. You forget to turn on your probe heat. You screw up a lot. Proficiency is really important. Never forget that. Alright, so just trying to figure out the amount of distance we have. Okay. It's not too bad. This aircraft is still very slowly climbing. Let's see if we can reduce the speed just a little bit again to get our climb rate up there. There we are. Now we're about 2,000 feet per minute. Thousand to go. To go. Come on, you can do it. You can get there. Oh, come on, come on, come on. It was almost there and it stopped. It's going very slowly. Well, I think we can pretty much call that at cruise. looking outside, attitude indicator. There's a little bit of motion going on there, actually. I can't tell if that's turbulence or the autopilot. It might be the turbulence. What are the winds doing right now? Is the numbers fluctuating a lot? No, those numbers are pretty steady. Just trying to determine if it's okay to turn seatbelt signs off or not. Got a little bit of a wing rock going on right now. Yeah, the autopilot is struggling to maintain kind of a constant attitude. That flight director is going back and forth, right to left, right to left. And it should be a pretty steady turn. The wind speed and direction seems to be really steady, so I'm not picking up any wind gusts or anything up here, anything that would cause turbulence, so I think the autopilot is just struggling itself to maintain that attitude. But it's not moving a lot. We can just pretend it's not doing that, so the seatbelt signs can come off for now. We are in cruise. And we don't have the longest cruise in the world, so let's go ahead and figure out what the weather looks like in Buffalo. Alright, winds are 070 at Niner, so the winds right now are favoring runway 5, so we will be landing to the northeast. So let's go ahead and input our information for the ILS runway 5. So arrival, hit that page again, go to the Buffalo arrival page. We'll expect the ILS runway 5, and we'll do vectors. Let's go to our legs page and verify that. Alright, so there is a discontinuity. So Dunkirk, and then from Dunkirk we'll go to Zobso, execute, and we are still on our current flight plan, which is good. Then we will zoom out. And our flight plan looks decent. Let's check the format once again. Now it's moving. Okay, yep, Dunkirk to Zobso, and then Zobso begins the ILS. Alright, so that looks good. Cool. I like to see it. Let's go there. Let's clear that not allowed. Like so. We'll do a quick heading sync. And now we will just cruise and monitor our airspeed. Maybe... yeah, we don't need to walk power off right now. It's doing okay. Alright. So after that absolute disaster of a departure, we are in cruise. Oh yeah, as soon as I get out of there, everyone in Chicago signs off, so. Yeah. They're probably thinking, man, this guy really botched it. They're like, that's where we sign off. But that's alright. He was nice about it. I guess I'm the lesson for them today. There was probably some instruction going on for VATSIM. Alright. So yeah, no ATC online for now anymore. We're expecting to land runway 5 if I could speak. We have a brief cruise coming. We'll expect a descent not too long from now, and then we will make our way into Buffalo Niagara International, and we will go from there. All right. I will be back. Alright, so auto ATC is telling us to cross Dunkirk at and maintain 11,000, but if we maintain 11,000 at Dunkirk, we're going to be a little high for the approach. So probably going to be a little bit under that when we cross over Dunkirk, to be honest with you, especially since we're landing runway 5. That's going to put us straight in. So if we were landing runway 23, that would have been just fine, but that's not the case, so we're going to descend on our own. So one thing I do remember about this aircraft is if we go to the VNAV page, we go all the way to the descent page and we go to descent info. To reach Zopso at 4,000 feet, it does tell us our descent rate. We are looking at about a 2,000 foot per minute descent now, so we could start that. Let's get these seatbelt signs on, let the passengers get to their seats. If we want Zopso at 4,000, let's go ahead and set our altitude on our autopilot to 4,000 accordingly. Oh, jeez. I cannot get it very precise with these knobs. Alright, 4,000. We're looking at about a 2,300 feet per minute descent rate, so let's go ahead and get that. We will throttle down quite a bit so we don't overspeed. Okay, the aircraft is maintaining course, which is good. And now that we're descending, we're starting to get towards visible moisture, so I am going to throw the engine anti-ice back on. Ignition to continuous. And we'll use this page to kind of gauge our descent a little bit better. And now this autopilot's going to do the thing where it goes back and forth, trying to maintain the lateral course. Oh my goodness, alright. Wow, this thing is banking over all over the place, alright. Okay, now that baking tendency is starting to calm down a little bit. Ooh, excuse me, jeez. Alright, so we are starting our descent. We're going to walk in a little more power so we're not slowing down too much in the descent. Our descent rate to get to 4,000 by Zobso is decreasing slowly, so we'll just kind of speed it up just a hair. Alright, and we'll get set up for the approach. So the approach, the ILS frequency for runway 5 is 108.5, so we'll get that in nav 1. So it looks like, okay, so my radio panel does not allow me to tune these right here. It doesn't work very well with the CRJ, so we're just gonna, we'll do it on the FMC here. We'll go to radios and we'll tune our navs to 108.5. Yep, that's correct. So both nav1 and nav2 are going to be 108.5. Those will be the actives. That's good. Our approach course is 055, so we're going to set that in the autopilot. Oh. Actually, since we're in FMS mode, I don't think we can do that right now, which is just fine. Okay. Runway landing distance available is 7569. Touchdown zone elevation is 708, but the airport elevation is 727. Radar required for procedure entry. We are fine there. RNP approach, GPS, yep. And then ADF required for localizer only, which hopefully we don't get. We just get the glide slope and can shoot the ILS. Autopilot coupled approach not available. Interesting. Autopilot coupled approach not available. That's weird. Alright. Nice. Missed approach is to climb to 3000 direct Trava and hold. Cool. We'll do that if we need to. And the ILS minimums for all categories are 908. So we will have 908 for our minimums. And I don't believe there's anything to set minimums on here. So we'll have to watch it ourselves manually, which is just fine. How are we doing on that descent profile? Well, we're looking good, so about a 2,000 feet per minute descent is going to get us to Zobso at 4,000, but we do have a decel coming up at 10,000, so we'll have to incorporate that as well, which won't be too difficult. Alright. Alright, so for descent or landing elevation, oh yeah, we do have to set that. So 680, we're looking at 720 for Buffalo. So that's 700. Thought I did it twice, maybe not. 720, there we go. We'll verify on the flight plan, 727. Yep, that's it, so 720 is good. Fuel, we'll check. Looking good there. Our reserves were 22 something. $22.60. We got plenty of fuel, so we won't have to go missed. Or we won't have to go to our alternate if we do go missed, is what I meant to say. TCAS is fine. Radar is fine. CASs are checked. We are looking good. Exactly what I want. Okay. Landing data is set. Yep, we have our approach loaded. In the approach briefing, we have briefed. Alright. Before landing, the flight attendants will be advised. Passenger signs on. We'll throw on the thrust reversers once we start getting closer to the ground. Don't want to throw those on too early, just in case we do something stupid. Because doing something stupid has been the trend of the whole beginning of this flight. Now we're really starting to cook on that speed, so we're going to walk out some throttle. Alright, so we're getting below 18,000 feet. Auto ATC tells us the altimeter is 3005 at Buffalo. I'm just going to verify via METAR. It is in fact 3005. That is good information. So let's set that in the altimeter. Okay, 3005. We'll set that in the standby. Cool. And on the right side, of course. Neat. Alright, our altimeter is set. So now we're 14,000 and we're getting closer to 10,000. So now I'm going to walk the throttles out just a little bit so we can get closer to 250 knots before we hit 10,000. Our descent rate can definitely slow down now. Especially since we're slowing down. We're going to hit 4,000 a little too early if we kept on that 2,000 foot per minute descent. And we're slowly walking the speed out. And then within 25 nautical miles of the outer marker, which is a couple miles from final. So 25 nautical miles around the outer marker of this approach, we are safe coming from this direction at 3,300 or above, and we are descending down to 4,000, so we're looking good there. So no worries on altitude. Okay, so we're getting below 11,000. I'm just going to go ahead and get ourselves ready early by getting all the landing lights on. How are we doing on temperatures? Standing air temperature is 25 degrees. Total air temperature is 45, but since standing is 25, I'm just going to keep anti-ice on just in case. Looking good on all other aspects. The autopilot's set up. We have the approach loaded. We have our frequencies that we want. And yep. The approach waypoints go as follows. Alright. Go ahead and zoom in on the MFD. Still about 20 miles from Dunkirk. Oh. Now we're slowing down a little too much. Don't want to be too slow. It'll take us forever to get there. And Buffalo Tower frequency is 120.5, which acts as CTAF when they're closed. So we'll go ahead and get 120.5 on standby, and then as we get about 20 miles from the airport, we will switch over. Alright, cool. And we're going to hit 4,000 between Dunkirk and Zobso, which is just fine by me. It'll give us a chance to level off and make sure that the aircraft is doing what we want it to do, because it has not so far. It's been okay, but there has been some really interesting mishaps and occurrences that we'll have to iron out. We'll decrease our descent rate just a little more. We don't need to be at 4,000 that early. Our speed was starting to drop again. Here we go. The aircraft is having a lot of trouble trying to find its course laterally. Just reducing the range on the MFD. Let's go ahead and arm our thrust reversers now that we're closer to the airport. Landing gear and slats and flaps will all come down as we approach the runway. Starting to think we're going to get a visual anyway, which is just fine. Let's go ahead and get a heading sync, and I'm actually going to throw this into heading mode so I can flip the nav source over to localizer 1. And then once that localizer starts coming in, we're still kind of far from it right now to really pick it up. We want to be less than 20 miles away to even get the localizer signal, but for now, we'll just flip over to that source and put ourselves on heading mode. That way we have less to do at once when we get there. Okay, we're coming up on 4,000 feet, so this aircraft is going to want to slow down a little bit once it levels off, so we will increase power to keep the speed going. Alright, so now we're getting closer to Buffalo, so we'll flip over to the CTAF frequency now. Oops. We're going to double check VATSIM, see if there's any traffic in the immediate area, which there is not, so we're good there. Don't have to worry about anyone. Still waiting for that localizer to come in, but we are still over 20 miles from the field, so I'm not going to expect it until somewhere between Zobso and Plaz. We can actually set our course now, finally, which is 055. Kind of wondering if and where I can see a number. Oh, the localizer did just start coming in. So let's go ahead and arm the approach mode. And let's see if it can intercept this localizer the way that it should. I did just realize our airspeed was running away from us in the slower direction. Okay, so I do have the runway in sight, so this will be a visual. However, I do want to see just how this aircraft behaves on this approach. Because I want to see if I want to use this aircraft or not again before we get that potential update. It's peculiar. I guess we have a crosswind from the right side. A little bit of a quartering tailwind, actually, which is interesting because the surface winds are 070, so they're pretty much 20 degrees off the runway, but getting a quartering tailwind from the right side. It's at 20 knots. And we have, I guess the wind correction angle isn't all that bad right now. Okay, so we do have a glide slope coming in, so is this aircraft going to be able to handle the ILS all the way down? Oop. Starting to go too fast again. Alright, so now we're starting to get on our glide slope intercept. Let's go flaps 1. Ooh. Okay, that was a pretty aggressive drop down. Gears coming down. Oops.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land. Please notice the cabin lights have been turned off, as this is a normal procedure for a nighttime landing.
Alright, 3 greens, gears down. We have flaps 1. As we slow down, I'll introduce flaps 8. We'll do our next notch now to help us slow down faster. Oops. Buffalo traffic. Envoy 3580 is on a 6-mile final, runway 5, Buffalo. I've been forgetting to make my 10-mile calls lately. I really don't know what that's about. We should be better than that. So now we're flaps 20, trying to slow the aircraft down. The autopilot is doing a good job at holding the approach. Needles are centered and we're looking good visually as far as the approach to the runway. Let's go ahead and do flaps 30. And we'll land with flaps 30. We'll set the altitude to 3,000 just to keep it in habit in the event we go missed. So we're going to land at about 130 to 140 knots. Okay, now the plane is starting to do a little bit of swaying. To be fair, we did have quite the wind shift there. Went straight from a tailwind to a headwind, but now it's got us low on the glide slope, and it is struggling laterally.
500.
We're getting a little too slow, so we're going to put some power in there.
400.
Okay, I'm going to take over here.
300.
Not doing exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, now we're back on track.
100.
Had to fix that by hand.
50, 40, 30.
Oh.
20. 10.
We're gonna land late, but that's okay. That's just fine with me. Ease that nose down. Okay, we have 2 in reverse. Speed brakes are out. $60 knots, the reversers will get stowed. We're going to pass that first exit. We're going too quick. Spoilers can get stowed away. We're good there. Alright, so very interesting flight. Okay. So the engine anti-ice can come off since we're on the ground. Engines can get out of continuous for the ignition. We are clear of the runway, so go ahead and open the APU SOV door. Look for that message. It is open. And we'll start the APU. We'll turn the wing landing lights off, if I could speak. Strobe lights off. Wing inspection lights were off. We probably should add those on, but that's okay. We'll clean up the flaps. And we are going to gate 4. I forgot to make my clear runway call. Oh well, that's fine. No one's here anyway. Doing streams this late at night is very interesting for me, but it's my only availability, so. Buffalo traffic, Envoy 3580 is crossing runway 5, or no, correction, 14 on Alpha Buffalo. Yeah, bedtime may be necessary. Oh, I'm doing terribly. What is our ground speed right now? We're cooking. Alright. Buffalo traffic, Envoy 3580 is clear of all runways, taking Alpha to gate 4, Buffalo. Alright, we'll get off of Alpha and we'll start getting closer to our gate so we can see. That's gate 5, so the next gate over is gate 4 and it's taken. So, we'll just take gate 3. Of course, the one gate that I was going to go to is taken. Oh well. Go to this gate, we'll turn the taxi light and recognition lights off so we don't blind the ground crew. We'll go outside and make sure we park okay. We're a little bit far off here. Kind of hard to get a good view for some reason. There we go. There we have it. Alright. There it is. Don't want this to run from us. Oops. Stopped a little too soon. I see. 3A is where we definitely should have parked because we were CRJ, but us as pilots, there was really no way for us to know that. When I worked at Buffalo, I wasn't the airline ground crew. I was simply a fueler, so whatever. Parking brake is on. Fasten seatbelt signs can come off as we are done moving, and the passengers can move free. Our strobes were still on. I thought I turned those off. Oops. Cool. We will pull the thrust levers back to the cutoff position. Our fuel pumps will turn off. Dome light will turn on so we can see a little bit better here. Probe heats can come off. I'm doing kind of a backwards flow. That's okay. Beacon can come off. Hydraulics, we'll go ahead and just flip everything off here. Cool. Alright, looks good to me. And lastly, let's get that door open. Get it ready for the jetway. We have chocks in place. Ground services. And we'll request the jetway. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's not very well placed. That's about right for today's flight. Huh. Alright. So, I wanted to do a flight from O'Hare to Buffalo, and then I wanted to do another one from Buffalo to JFK. Spend a little extra time flying this aircraft and trying it out to get in the spirit for the possibility of an update. After flying it, I've come to the conclusion that tonight I am quite exhausted, and this plane doesn't fly very nicely right now. There are still a lot of bugs and functions and stuff to iron out. I definitely screwed up with the speed restriction climbing on the O'Hare 8 departure. I went faster than 250 knots before I was told by ATC to do so, which the departure clearly states to maintain 250 until ATC advises. I didn't catch that note. I think I saw it, but I read it wrong. I had that expectation bias and thought it just meant 250 until 10,000 or whatever. So, yeah, that was my mistake. However, everything else, this plane, it controls okay as far as, you know, actual stick and rudder. It's not bad. The autopilot needs a lot of work. It has a lot of trouble finding its course laterally. It does a lot of the banking back and forth and back and forth. And if I remember correctly, this has kind of always been a problem with the Aerosoft CRJ. I remember it happening pretty early on after getting this aircraft, and it was something that just never got fixed, even when updates were being released regularly. So that's pretty terrible to see. And then I struggled to, when I departed from Chicago and we crossed over that first waypoint, the instinct of the aircraft should have been to turn right, but it turned left, and it kept turning left, trying to deviate from our route of flight. So that was really unfortunate. And the whole speed thing on the autopilot was also my fault. I forgot to turn the probe heats on, and that seemed to have something to do with it. So that's my fault, but I wanted to do the Buffalo to JFK, but I am really tired, and this plane is not really up to par right now. It's not in good shape. So instead, I think I'm going to call the live stream quits here. and we're gonna have to wait until this aircraft gets updated to fly this plane, because it's still rough. I think I'm gonna work on making a different video instead. Don't know if it's gonna be released tonight. It'll be my first non-live stream video, but I do want to get started on working at that, and I think tonight might be the night to do that. So thank you to anyone who may have joined throughout the stream. Thank you to those who will be watching it later on. If you guys have any suggestions for any flights or any type of flying that you want to see, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I will see what I can do. I hope everyone takes care and they have a good night. If they have any questions for me, those can go in the comments as well. Yeah. Just got a love for aviation and want to share it with everyone. So, let me know what you want to see. But, good night to you all. This aircraft is terrible. You probably won't be seeing it for a while. And, I'll definitely make sure I'm better rested before I stream again. But, anyway, y'all take care.